level, which Shobha had conducted a session last evening very beautifully. She covered the fact that when the school begins, when the school reopens, we need to begin with general competency level. It is through this test that we will be able to gauge students' competency. It could be, a child is good in a language, a child is good in numeracy, a child is good in other subjects or not. Whether the child needs, more hand holding over there, and how can we enable that? That is through that. Now, what exactly happens in GCL once the baseline test, which is conducted, basic understanding of the student is captured through that. Then what we do, we collate the results and send it to the central office. Once the results are sent to here, a report is created for the students, which will again be shared back with the schools. All right. And this is through this report that the teachers will be able to identify the learners who needs additional support. It could be in anything. It could be in English, it could be in Hindi, math, EVS, etc. All right. But then what happens next? Once we are done with GCL, once that is conducted, what happens? What do we do next? Kindly share your responses in the chat box, please. What happens once GCL is conducted? Once the teacher identifies that I have certain set of students with additional support required for them, so what will she do? What will he do?
Work according to that, Priya is saying.
Okay.
According to the results.
Work according to the results is what Priya says. What about others? What happens? What's the next step? Once you've identified your student who needs additional support, what do we do next as an educator? Plan lessons accordingly. Okay. All right. Then what next? Anything else? Anything different? After a GCL is conducted, what happens? Come on, I'm waiting. Okay, extra support to be figured out, categorize the students accordingly and work upon them. Okay, work upon them in what way? What do we really need to do? In what manner? In what manner? Charu says give them remedial class. Okay, true that, right? Pooja says remedial classes, right? Okay. Jasmine says understand their learning level and assign them work according to their ability. Okay. Suman says that we come to know about the areas where we need to work. Fine, fantastic. Okay. Deep Bedi ma'am says that we understand the areas where focus is required. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah, so we do understand that it's some remedial plan that has to be in place, that needs to be curated in order to attend to these students' needs, right? And to bring them up the curve or take them a notch higher. Plan activities. All right. Okay, fine. Thank you very much for your responses. Well, this is what we have in place. We have centralized learning support system in place. So once GCL is conducted in the class, all right, students with support is required, is identified. We have various plans in place. We have English readiness program. We have Hindi readiness program. We have certain bridge modules to help them bring it par with the current level, the grade level requirements. We have a special, chunk added into our MLL app, which is special learning zone. We have a Setu in Hindi, and we have certain specific teacher training modules. What happens when a child is identified and is then, facilitated accordingly? Child becomes empowered multiliterally. All right. Today, the focus is going to be on English readiness program. Right, educators? All right. Let's understand on that note, what is our session objective? We are going to understand how ERP, English readiness program, was conceptualized. What is an ERP? What are the features? Implementation program, how am I going to roll out this program in my class? What are the recommended levels? What is the structure of ERP? The progression, right? What's the flow of it? And then the progress tracker, all right? So, as I said, concept note, basically, how was this English readiness program conceptualized? What got into people thinking as to why should we have this program in place? It was to help students with the learning lag, the language lag, is to facilitate with them, to help them deal with this. Provide them additional support to achieve the basic competency in the language and to take the student a notch higher, right? To deal with the basic language skills like listening, speaking, reading, writing through various means and ways in the program. So what exactly is English Readiness Program, folks? English Readiness Program is something that is required to enhance students' basic language skills, which is LSRW, listening, speaking, reading, and writing. In this, basically in this program, the learners have to be maximum 1 or 2 levels before the expected competency or the grade level competency. How? We will see it in our further slides. Well, one more thing that you need to keep in mind that this is not a solution for students to gain proficiency in the language. It is facilitating program for language improvement. So we have to be very, careful about that idea. We should not be very over ambitious of the fact that, okay, English Readiness Program is going to help make my students proficient in the language. No, it is language improvement program. Okay. Now, what does English Readiness Program essentially caters to? It caters to the language skills, which is listening, speaking, reading, writing. So when the program was created, right, the modules which is created, it is based on various maxims of learning, right, where we each activity, the worksheets or the PowerPoint presentation caters to either a speaking or a listening or a reading or a writing, right? It's a combination of any of all these 4 or, proper permutation combinations have been used every now and then, and has been identified and given in our modules. What is a feature of the English Readiness Program? So what does it comprise of really? It has worksheets, a PowerPoint presentation, and it's a teacher's guideline document. A teacher guideline document is basically a lesson plan. It helps you understand how to implement this program, right? Which worksheet to use, when, what to teach on which day, how many lesson plans are there, how many worksheets are there, which PowerPoint presentation to show when, etc. Right? Implementation is a very important aspect of this program. I'm sure a lot of us would have it in mind that, okay, this is an English Readiness Program, but how do I go about implementing it? Where do I have the time? So we have to identify, understand, and squeeze in this program, all right, so that we help our learners. We have a 0 period. This is a period which is followed by after assembly, mass assembly. Then we have a language lab period. We can accommodate during that time. Support period is also there, all right? There are certain support period which has been allocated. Grade-wise is different. We recommend that the full focus is given to the English Readiness Program in the first 4 to 8 weeks, right? Very clearly. So ERP begins where GCL ends, all right? So immediately after the GCL is conducted, we embark on the ERP after we have identified the students, right? And of course, it has to be conducted in a manner that you just don't roll it out in the class. You just, form small little groups of these students who are identified, all right? And then you implement this program, right? Then this session is divided into 98 sessions. There are 98 sessions across 7 progressive levels, which again, we're going to see in a few slides ahead. Again, now teachers' discretion is required when it comes to a homework or a classwork. Teachers may decide that, okay, this worksheet, I can give it for the homework. This is something that I can cover in my class, something like that. And one last one is online classes. Yes, teacher can also conduct an online class over the weekend, maybe a Saturday, 45-minute session, if she is comfortable and if her students are okay with it. This is another way that you can conduct the session. So implementation is totally dependent upon the teacher, how she wants to take this forward and how much she wants to take this forward, honestly speaking, right? So it could be the 0 period, it could be done in the language lab, you can utilize the support period. The focus, of course, has to be in the first 4 to 8 weeks, and it can be conducted online, right, as well. Now, the recommended level. when I would talk about English readiness program, I would be confused that, okay, if my child is in grade 8, or with my child who has been identified, who needs support and who's a learner, needs to appear for all the 7 levels? Well, the answer is definitely no, need not. Maximum 2 levels down, right? So if you look at this table clearly, grade wise, we have explained which level the child will have to attempt, right? Grade 8, level 6 and 7. Grade 7 student, level 5 and 6. Grade 6, 4 and 5. Grade 5, 3 and 4. So on and so forth. For grade 1 and 2, there's only one single level, right? Now, we have understood this so far. I want to now understand and see whether we are on the same page or not by you answering to this question. How many levels are recommended for grade 8 students? Everyone, you can give your answers in the chat. How many levels are recommended for grade 8 students? All right, 2. Tiasa says 2, Jayashree says 2, Ekta says 2, everyone says 2. Yes, so yes, we are all on the same page. That's good to know. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Now, let's proceed. Okay, this is the structure of the program, all right? If you can see the structure of the program, there are 7 levels. Each level is divided into modules. There are 2 modules in each level. So my level 1 will have module 1 and module 2, and each module is designed for 7 sessions, 7 days, right? So level 1, module 1 and 2, day 1 to 7 in each module. That is exactly how the structure of English readiness program is. Progression, very important. A lot of you may have in your mind as to, how have you designed this program? How have you selected the topics? So, of course, I have gone by the vertical progression for these grades to understand the level of the students, whether they'll be able to appear or not. And even my GCL that we have created is based on the same level, right? So that as we say that if in case, we're talking about identifying students based on the GCL test, then definitely the GCL has to be, in tandem with my vertical progression and with my ERP progression as well, all right? So if you see level 1, 2, 3, and 4, you can just read it. I have it open right here, and I think so it's quite readable. My level 1 has consonant and vowels. It's 2 and 3 letter words, word building, sight words, sentences. These are the various set of topics that I have identified for level 1. Now, keep this in mind, everyone, that level is different from grade. It is not grade specific. Okay, it is level specific. So do not confuse yourselves over here that, oh, my level 1 is equivalent to my grade 1 students. No. All right. Let's be clear over there. You see level 2 now, sight words, sentences, various punctuations, WH words, then demonstrative words, reading. Then we have homonyms, homophones, homographs. Then you see the pronouns, am, is, are, prepositions, and then synonyms, rhyming, tenses. Level 4 is tenses again, sentences, and parts of speech. You see, these are the basic grammar that we have identified that this is something that child really needs to know. Then for level 5, we have again continuation of the parts of speech to minors. Then, some listening activity, the story writing, letter writing. Level 6, again, tenses, autobiography. Diary entry, dialogue writing, and 7 is comprehension, skimming and scanning and practicing of the unseen passages of the comprehension. Then we have some grammar usage aspect that is covered in that, narrative vocabulary. Now, if you go to see that we have identified these topics, we have created worksheets, PowerPoint presentations on that. And also various faculties have been identified, the domains of learning has been identified that, okay, fine, if in case I have given a parts of speech, then is it my writing? Is it my speaking, right? If I've given narrative writing, so probably, what I have done is I've also asked the students to, given them a scenario and saying, okay, fine, now narrate this entire incident verbally, all right? So it could be my speaking activity. I've given a passage and I've asked students, or teacher to read it out and, students to pay attention to it. And then probably there's a listening activity which is followed by that. So there's a various permutation combination of listening, speaking, reading, writing that has been identified, used judiciously in my program. First time again. All right. So how many levels of progression constitutes the English readiness program, everyone? You know the drill. You need to give your answers in the chat box. How many levels of progression constitute the English readiness program? Okay, Krishna says 7, Neetu says 7, Jayashree, Josna, Jog says 7, Ekta says 7. Okay, we all are saying 7. So yes, we all are paying attention to what is happening in the session. Fabulous. Thank you so much. Okay, so now what do we have next? As I mentioned, we need to identify our learners. How do we identify our learners? So when there are lateral entrants, okay? In the lateral entrance, again, there will be general competency level that the child needs to appear in order for the learners to understand what's going on. What's the lag? The yearly report card of the previous school, all right? Since it's a lateral learner, so the previous school report card will be required, which gives the data, information about the child. The one-to-one teacher interaction. The teacher speaks with the child, understands the child, that there is some, exchange of dialogue between the child and the teacher for the teacher to understand exactly what's the domain requirement, what's the lag, and, what kind of learning support is required for the child. Now, for the MLZS students, again, general competency level is required. Previous year's report card, that's the last exam report card would be required. One-to-one interaction with the students, with the previous class teacher. If in case the teacher has maintained any anecdotal report, now that is something that will be really handy for the teacher in order to identify the learners. All right? Okay. So this is my teacher. Okay. Okay, this is my teacher guideline specimen. I am going to share this with you all. Okay, sorry, everyone. Just let me share with you how my teacher guideline looks like. Okay, I'll stop sharing this. It's not high. I'm not able to click on that. I'm going to yeah. So I'll have to stop sharing this.
Stop sharing and start sharing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'll start with level 1 teacher guidelines. Okay, here we are. Is my screen visible? Okay. Document.
Not open.
You have not opened the document. So this is a document. This is the first slide. Go scroll down. Yeah.
Can you?
It's the same document.
Are you able to see?
No, also you have not shared the screen.
Yes. No, she has shared the screen, but the document
Go to
is
this.
not open.
No, not shared.
Your screen is visible, but not.
Wait. Let me resume the share. Okay. Are you able
You
to
stop
see?
share and again start. Stop share.
Okay. I'm sorry, everyone. Just give me a minute.
First one, no?
Are you able to see anything?
Now again your Explorer is open. Click on that.
Is it visible? My screen?
Your listing is visible. Module 1, module 2.
Now? I'm just scrolling up. It's not showing anything.
Wait, stop sharing. Okay, go back.
Your screen share.
Screen share. Go to this. And share here.
This I go here.
Click there. Click there. Now share here. Now, are you able to see?
Yes.
Right. Thank you. Sorry, everyone, for the confusion. Okay. So if you can see, this is the structure, English Readiness Program, level 1 module. There are 2 modules, and each module is divided into 7 different days. Now, we are just going to go through the. This one. Okay. That's okay. Is it fine? Better? All right. Fine. So the English Readiness Program comprises of 2 modules. If you see, module 1 has consonant and vowels as my topic, right? Now the time allocation, just bear with me. Now it's fine, right?
Scale.
Plus sign कर लो. नहीं, it was. हाँ, this is fine. This is fine. Right. Take it. Okay. Resuming. So module 1 has consonant and vowels in it. You see the time allocation. Day 1, introduction to consonant and vowels. What's the faculty? Listening and speaking. Okay. Day 2 is vowel rules and revision. Day 3 is vowel game. Day 4 is short vowels. Day 5 is word building. Day 6 is practice, consonant and vowels. And day 7 is revision, consonant, vowels. And faculties have been identified in each and every day and these worksheets. Then you move to module 2. My module 2 has 2 to 3 letter words, word building, sight words, sentences. So if you see, again, the time allocation, day 1 is 2 to 3 letter words, worksheets. Then there's a day 2 word builder. Day 3 is sight words. Day 4 is sight words for listening. Then day 5 is sentences. Day 6 is sentences again. And day 7 is self-introduction and speaking. Again, there is various faculties or domains of the skills that has been identified, like the speaking, reading, listening, writing. What's my plan of action? If you look at my plan of action, is basically my lesson plan. How am I going to deliver? How am I going to implement, rather execute what has been given to me in my classroom? My day 1, introduction to consonant and vowels. If you see, I've just mentioned that we begin with the session, show so-and-so PowerPoint, then distribute so-and-so worksheet, make the class or the students sit in the round circle, then explaining about how exactly, to play the game or to conduct the session. If you see, everything has been covered in details over here. Day 2 also, day 3. All you have to do is just read and follow and execute in the class. I'm just slowly scrolling it down so that you understand what exactly it comprises of and how it really looks. It's easy breezy, honestly speaking. The execution will be easy breezy. Of course, you have to do, what you have to do is that teach them in groups, not individually. What is a sight word? I've given an example, definition, an explanation of what a sight word is. And then there is a worksheet based on that. There are certain PowerPoint presentations. Then there's a game. This is level 1. So level 8. Okay.
7 or 8.
Now this is level 1, right? I will now show you another level. Okay. Level 6. Level 6?
No,
Yeah.
yes.
All right. Now this is my level 6. Okay. My level 6 has module 1, the present perfect tense, autobiography, the past perfect, reading, speaking. Again, the domains have been identified. My module 2 will have reading, speaking, diary entry, dialogue writing, speaking. This is how my module really would look like. Okay. So the worksheets have sufficient examples and reasonable explanation, right? Proper coverage is ensured, hence there won't be any teaching strategy suggested for each day, as rightly said so. Also, the time for each session is kept in mind to ensure smoothness of the process. So if you'll see, there is a difference in my level 1 lesson plan vis-a-vis my level 6, because again, the levels have increased. And of course, as I mentioned, that my worksheets in itself has ample of examples and explanation, which does not require over here. It is going to be self-explanatory and easy for the students to follow and understand. Now I go back to my slide. Okay. Can you see this? No, you're not able to see.
Go to the Zoom.
Not sure.
Do that first. Please first mention.
Okay. So this was my teacher guideline specimen. Now we have progress tracker. So progress tracker is something that progress tracker is something that will allow you to understand whether there is any progress that is taking place, whether the child is progressing. If in case a child is at a level 1 and there is a certain worksheet that has been shared with the student, if the child is able to attempt it, and how fast is the child able to attempt it. So let's just look at this. Okay. Why am I not able to?
Sure. Only thing is it is minimized. Double click on that. No? Okay.
Yeah, यहाँ करेंगे तो हो जाएगा.
यहाँ पे तो नहीं हो रहा है.
No, paper. वहाँ पे जाके double click.
It's covered for you. Yeah.
Pull it, na? It's pull it to
down.
cover the screen.
Wait, give.
Pull it to cover the screen. Side में लेके जाओ. Pull करो.
Wait. I'll do it.
Right? Otherwise it's not.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Just pull the screen. Ah, yes. Just pull it.
Right? Okay, guys. So here we are. This is the tracking chart, right? This has to be maintained by the facilitator. And as you can see, this is for level 1. Right below, you can see this is level 1 sheet, level 2. This is level 3. This is level 4. All right. This is level 5 till level 7. Now, if you see in this tracking sheet, level 2, we have mentioned the topics that has been covered, which you saw in the teacher's guideline module, right? And it is, of course, day-wise, what topic is there, where, right? This is module 1. Then you have the name of the student. Now, for example, it's me, okay? And I am appearing for level 2. And you have given me sentences, punctuation, worksheet. I was able to do it swiftly, right? So I write the date over here. Today is, say, 30th March, all right? 30th March, 23. Excuse me. This is what you write over here.
You take a printer and maintain the file.
And then if in case the child is not being able to, attempt it properly, then you just leave it vacant. That, okay, today the child, I gave the worksheet, the child was not able to fill that in or attempt it, you leave it vacant.
This is homework.
But, but if in case, the child is able to complete 2 to 3 worksheets on the same day, even if in case I'm saying day 1, I have so-and-so worksheet, day 2, I have a different worksheet, day 3, I have something else, so on and so forth. But my child is able to do that, all of it in one day, you write the dates, over here. So that basically shows that, okay, there is some progression which is taking place over here. The child is able to attempt it, is able to understand it, and is showing good progress over there. All right. So this is exactly how the tracking sheet needs to be maintained by the teacher, by writing the date against the worksheet that the child has completed in the class. All right. I hope that's making sense. You have any questions with regards to that? You can ask me in the chat box. You can ask me any question right now. So far, whatever that we have completed, you can ask me any question that you have, any doubts that you have, something that you have not followed, and you want me to go back to any previous slides, I'll be more than happy to oblige. No messages.
Can you please repeat the process? Can you please repeat the process about tracker?
Okay. So see, if you can look at this tracker, okay, this tracker is level-wise tracker. Okay. The teacher will have this tracker end to end from level 1 to level 7. See, this is an Excel file, if you can see. And right down below where I'm clicking, there are various level sheets which has been shared with you. You click on that based on the level of the student that you're looking into. For example, it's level 4. Now in level 4, my module 1 has the present continuous tense, the past continuous, the tenses, the kinds of sentences, and various other worksheets till day 7. Okay, that I have listed on my tracker. And the same thing for module 2 for level 4. This is all I have listed. Now, for example, a particular student is there, you have given the worksheet for the present continuous tense for day 1. The child was quick enough to complete it and submit it to you, all right? You just write the date. For example, if today is 30th of March and the child was able to complete it successfully, you write 30th of March. But if the child has not been able to attempt it, you leave it vacant. You write the date when the child submits it to you, all right? If the child is able to complete it today and you give another worksheet, you can do that. It's not, hard and fast that you have to hold on to only, other worksheets and give only one worksheet at a time. Nothing like that. Depends upon the grasping level of the student. Also, you can, change the pace of your program. All right. So whatever it is, you write the date against the name of the student. Right below the number of days and the worksheet name to understand that, okay, fine, the student has been able to successfully complete this worksheet, this task, the writing, the speaking, the listening, the reading, etc. This is how it really works.
All the sheets have to be given on the same day to the students. Worksheets?
No, not all the sheets. So we're talking about the worksheets. So as I've mentioned, there is day 1 worksheet. If my student is able to complete the listening and speaking activity, which is designed in day 1's worksheet, right, you write that day. Okay, that date in that. If the child was not able to do anything, not finish it, not submit it, not complete it, you do not write it. You write it the date the child finishes it on. Okay. The same thing goes if in case the child was fast enough to complete the listening and the speaking activity on day 1. Okay, then you see that the child has enough time in hand and you can actually try giving the day 2 worksheet, which is reading and writing. You can give it that as well. And then you can write on 30th, so-and-so child was able to, complete day 1 and day 2 worksheet. This is how it really works. That makes sense.
Please could you summarize?
The track sheet.
Not the track sheet, just summarize.
Oh, we are coming to that. We're really coming to that soon. Yes. So
please repeat the previous slide.
Okay. So, second. I'll stop sharing this.
Yeah. Go back to your presentation.
Could you please explain about the module so they want some clarity on the
Okay.
Go to your presentation here. Yeah, go to the previous slide.
Can this be seen? Can my PPT be seen?
Okay, to share.
Wait.
Yeah.
There is a question. Are these trackers for a minute or a term?
Shall I explain that?
Wait 1 second.
The time flexibility. At what point they can speed up, at what point they can slow down.
Okay.
Is the slide visible?
Just a second.
So they want to. Is my slide visible?
Dear educators, I'm seeing some messages in the chat window wherein you are saying that you joined in the session a little late because you were facing some technical difficulty. We truly understand that. Vinita will be taking you through the entire understanding, though a deeper understanding would come when you go through the document yourself. And then if you have any questions, either you can connect back with your RSD or you can mail us at the school support and we will be very happy to answer those queries for you, or at the training support, one of the two. We'll be sharing the mail IDs at the end of the meeting, and you can feel free to share your queries on these 2 mail IDs. However, she's taking you through a quick summary of the entire session, so you can make note of that. Okay? Yeah, Varsha, we'll be doing that.
Anjana Pandey is asking, are these trackers for a month or term wise? So as I mentioned earlier, that this program is designed for 98 different sessions. All right. And we recommend that, the teacher, when it comes to the implementation of this program, uses her discretion by, trying to squeeze in this program in the support period, right? In the language lab or online training, so on and so forth. So this is how it's supposed to be done. It's not something which is month or term wise per se, really. Yeah, so of course, now per level, each level has 14 worksheets. It's planned for 14 days. Okay. Now, as I said that, okay, fine. If my day one, my child is way too receptive, is able to, solve the worksheets in a jiffy, okay, quickly. I move on to day two worksheet for that child, and you can give day two's worksheet to the child. If the child is able to do that, you keep on, giving worksheet after worksheet, as many worksheets as the child able to attempt in that given point of time, 45 minutes session or whatever time that you are using or allocating for the ERP for that particular level. Hope that's making sense. All right. Okay, so what I'll do now, I will summarize this session. Okay, we have understood that why ERP was conceptualized. We basically to identify the students with the learning lag for the language to help them develop with the competency. We are saying that this is not, the language proficiency program, but it's something that is a facilitating program to basically enable students to understand the basic language needs, which is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Where the feature of the program, we have various worksheets, we have a PPT, we have a teacher guideline document where, some of the worksheet has, where, in-depth explanation about the concept. If in case we're talking about a dialogue writing or we're talking about a diary entry at a higher level, what we have done that in the same worksheet to explain what exactly is a narrative writing, what is a dialogue writing, given them an exemplar over there, right? And then we have asked the students to attempt it. So if in case somewhere you would feel that, oh, my level 1 had more detailed lesson planning vis-a-vis my level 6, then need not be disappointed, because definitely it has been thought through and it has been planned and designed in such a manner that, of course, my level 6, what is not there, what is missing in my teacher guideline is something which has been catered to, has been addressed in my worksheets, right? Excuse me. My implementation program. Implementation, again, is very important. The teacher needs to take the call. She needs to decide, do I need to use the support period? Do I use the... Right. Okay. Let's quickly look at this. Okay. Good idea.
You didn't see it. Go back to that implementation slide. You want to go on here. Next.
Yeah, my implementation program. 0 period, which is followed by my assembly. Language lab is where you can try and conduct this ERP into. Support periods, you can utilize a support period. We recommend that a full focus is given to the first 4 to 8 weeks when the school begins. And as we said, that GCL, where GCL ends is where ERP begins. Keep that in mind, each one of you all. And it's designed for 98 sessions across 7 progressive levels. So our levels or the progression is decided based on the vertical progression. It is not grade specific. It is level specific program again. And the teacher's discretion is required as far as the classwork or the homework is given. And if teacher requires, she can conduct it online session over the weekend, if she needs, if she's okay with it, if the students are okay, if the parents are okay with it. Then we have recommended level. So for each level, we recommend should not go lower than 2 levels. For grade 8, 6 or 7, grade 7, level 5 and 6, grade 6, level 4 and 5. This is the recommended level for each grade. Grade 1 and 2 is level 1 that we recommend. And then we have the structure of the program. English readiness program is divided into 7 different levels. It is designed for 7 different levels. Each level has 2 modules, and each module is planned for 7 days. So total of 14 days for each level is planned. Then there's a progression of the program. Level-wise progression is given. As I mentioned earlier, it is not grade specific, it is level specific. We have, referred to the vertical progression for these grades to understand the needs of the students level wise, right? And how to identify the learners. If in case there's a lateral entrant, then there's a general competency level that is required to be conducted for the MLZS. Then the yearly report card of the previous school and one-to-one interaction of the previous school teacher is required, or rather one-to-one interaction of the current school teacher with the student for teacher to understand, the student better and the needs of the students better. For the MLZS students, there will again be a general competency level test. There will be previous year's report card. There will be again one-to-one interaction of the child with the student. And if there is an anecdotal report which is in place, that will definitely help the teacher understand the student better, the needs of the students better. Then we did speak about the teacher guideline specimen. The teacher guideline is nothing but a lesson plan, all right? It is detailed lesson plan as to what is required to be done, when and how, right? Level-wise, day-wise planning has been explained in that, okay, fine, my day one, you refer to so-and-so PPT, distribute so-and-so worksheet, conduct it in so-and-so manner, strategize it in this way, use this teaching aid, so on and so forth, has been defined and explained. And I also mentioned that in my level 1, when I showed you, it was a detailed lesson planning, vis-a-vis my level 6, where you saw that, okay, fine, it was like it completed in a jiffy. There was hardly anything over there. As I mentioned that in those, my level 6 or level 7 worksheets, they have explanation about what that particular topic is. For example, if in case I'm talking about narrative writing, I've explained what a narrative is. I've given an example of narrative, and then after which I've asked the student to go and attempt it. So need not worry about anything that you feel or you think is missing. It's not missing at all. And it is something which is the implementation is definitely going to be easy breezy for sure. Okay, I'll show you one plan again. Is it visible? No. Okay.
There first.
Here we are. So this is level 4, which has tenses and kinds of sentences, as you can see. Then the day-wise allocation is given. Day 1, present continuous tense. Now, what is it that's going to take care of my day 1 work? It's the listening and the speaking activity that has been designed for my day 1 teaching. Right? Day 2, the past continuous tense, reading and writing is something that's going to be taken care of. My tenses recap, again, is going to be based on my reading, my speaking, and my writing. That's how it has been divided. My module 2 is parts of speech. Noun, verb, adjective, adverb has been covered in this particular module. And my speaking activity is there. Now you see my plan of action. Day 1, the present continuous tense. You see, show the PPT, conduct a brief discussion on the topic, distribute the worksheet, help the students through the worksheet, explain and sufficient examples are given in the worksheet. As I mentioned earlier, that some part of it, if in case it is not really aligned and detailed explanation is given, it's taken care of in the worksheet in itself. So you need not worry about that. Then you can see my parts of speech. There is an activity which has been aligned for my parts of speech in my module 2, day 1. You start the session by asking students to tell you what we call naming words, probing questions are there, listed over there, and how to go about it. Everything is enlisted over there. What exactly is to be done after that has been mentioned, whether it is the PPT or is it the worksheet that has to be distributed to the class is stated over there. And of course, there is a disclaimer, that note which mentioned that sufficient examples and reasonable explanation is given in the worksheet, and it has been appropriately covered for the teacher's easy delivery in the class. So need not worry about that for sure. You have any questions, everyone? Any question?
Miss Neelu, do you have a question? Neelu Dahalwar, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Miss Neelu Dahalwar, you raised your hand. If you have a question, please unmute yourself and ask the question. Okay. If there are no other questions, or if there are any other questions, please raise your hand. I will unmute you and you can ask those questions. In the meanwhile, I have shared a feedback link in the chat window. Please fill that feedback form. It will help us to record your attendance as well as help us understand what we need to work again so that we are able to implement this program in a seamless manner at the schools. Harpreet Kaur, please unmute yourself to ask your question.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, the progress tracker is printable?
Yes, it is definitely.
Okay.
It is printable.
So ma'am, it comes when you send the mail or when you send the document of ERP, the progress tracker is in between it?
Yeah, it is sent along with that. Yes.
It will be sent along with that.
Yeah, it's sent with the package, with the ERP package. It's sent along with that, and the printout of that can definitely be taken.
Okay, I think, ma'am, the document is changed now from earlier. We don't get any this progress tracker last year.
I'm sorry, I missed you there, Harpreet. I couldn't hear you. You weren't audible.
Okay. Actually, ma'am, I'm saying that earlier we get only the worksheets of modules. We don't have the progress tracker last year.
Oh, we'll send it across to you in that case. Harpreet, need not worry about that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Anything else you want to ask, Harpreet?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
sure.
As you told, there are 98 sessions.
Yes.
Of ERP. It means it will remain throughout the session in a year?
See, again, now 98 session, it has been planned for 98 session. As I mentioned, that teacher needs to take discretion in terms of how much to cover in the class, how much to give for the homework. And, how to basically, deliver this entire program. Implementation in terms of the support period, the zero period, the language lab. So, need not necessarily that whole 98 session you have to take it in the school only, because it's totally divided.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Excuse me.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I got your point. As a teacher, I understand where you're coming from. What Vinita, who is a creator of this program, suggests you is that there are 98 sessions. Now, these 98 sessions are for grade 1 to 8. Can you tell me which class teacher you are? Which class English you take care of?
Ma'am, I'm a business partner.
Harpreet, which class English you are taking care of?
Ma'am, I'm a business partner. I am a principal of MLZ. No issue, ma'am. No issue.
Let us assume you are a class 6 teacher. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am.
So just to summarize what Vinita wanted to convey, if you are a class 6 teacher, there is a possibility of some of your children obviously lagging behind from the expected standards, which he explained with that single slide where the picture was used, children at the entry level meeting the entry standards. But we are talking about children who are slightly lagging behind. Now, when we say slightly lagging behind, we are expecting most of the children to be maybe 1 or 2 level down. Okay, when I say 1 or 2 level down, a grade 6 child is probably not competent, at the entry level expectation of the grade 6 level, but the child is at, maybe grade 4, 5, grade 3, pass out kind of thing. So if assuming most of the children are at that level, this is where we are catering to. So if you are a grade 6 teacher, your worksheet will be catering to grade 4 and grade 5 level. Okay. And how many are there? You do not have 98 sessions for one grade. If it is a 2 level, maximum you will have 28 worksheets. Because one level has got module 1 and module 2. Each of the module has 7 plus 7, that is 14 worksheets. per level. So if you have children who are 2 level down also, they need not do more than 28 worksheets per year. Now, when you have to do this, ideally, if you have been part of yesterday's session, there is a baseline test which we call in MSZS as GCL, General Competency Level Test, which is a preliminary understanding of where our children are. We are not testing their competency in terms of what all they can do, but we are testing, do they have the minimum entry level expertise? So that's what we are looking at. And once you do that, you will fill the details, the mark sheet to the central office. We will be sending you the report card. Based on that, the very next week, you can start the classes using the ERP, HRP, and many other small things we are going to provide over a time. Now, in ERP, suppose you have identified a child is 2 level down, the child is supposed to complete a minimum of 28 worksheets. I am sure some of you may be wondering, what is so special about this 28 worksheets? What is so special is that she, being a subject expert, have identified areas where generally children are lagging behind. Sometimes it is grammatical aspects. What is expected level, she clearly knows because the vertical progression is matched in Z-Learn. So according to that, she has identified topics and areas where the children, if they quickly, work upon, if they are quickly trained upon, can bring their level, at the expected level. And when they are supposed to do, ideally, as soon as you get the report, the first 2 months, we strongly recommend every school to spend so much time, as much time as possible on the literacy, numeracy, and the basic understanding of the skill. If you're reading the CBSE documents, some of the CBSE documents mention about Vidya Pravesh for grade 1, and they have recommended a minimum of 3 months. So we as a school may not be able to give dedicated 3 months, but can we have, an effective use of our zero periods, our support periods, maybe one-to-one online classes? Can we make use of that? The language labs in the first 2 months. When you do that, all those children who are slightly lagging behind with this dedicated worksheets, which is 1 level down, 2 level down, using the progress checker she has given to you. Ideally, teachers are supposed to take a printout, maintain a file, write the name of the child, and as she said, how often they are completing one worksheet, how much of work goes into it. Be open to work in tandem with your parent. Be in touch with your parents also. You talk to them over the phone. I'm sure you are using the social media, the WhatsApp groups, or one-to-one meeting. Ensure that the parents also are working with you. Out of this, suppose if the child is 2 level down, 28 worksheets maximum the child is supposed to learn. And we ensure that, if that is done conscientiously, the child will definitely show improvement. Okay. Now, is that all the child needs to do? No, child can, of course, look outside also. There are MLL apps also. There are a lot of listening modules you can give. The magazines which you find in the market can definitely do more than that. The beauty of this program is that there is a science behind this. Topics we have chosen and the kind of leveling, the scaffolding we have done is easy for the child to do. So if you include your parent also as part of the journey, what we are committing to you is that in 2 months, you will really find a level difference. And once you ensure that in the first month, April, and then probably, a little bit of work in the summer, holidays and first 15 days of June, you will see that your child is ready to take on this year's curriculum. So we would recommend, do not, extend these 28 worksheets to the whole year. No need. Please complete it in the first 2 months. That's the most recommended time. And another thing I think we would really like to emphasize, though Vinita said, I'm repeating it, sometimes the children who are 2 level down, they are able to do 1 or 2 worksheets on a, that's a pace. Maybe they are able to do at the pace of 2 worksheets per day. I would recommend do not give more than 2, but if they are able to do 2 worksheets per day, what happens is that you are able to complete this module in 5 to 6 weeks, which is a decent time for the child also to embark on the new journey or the recommendations or the expectations of the new grade. So while as a teacher, you have the complete, flexibility to choose when to do, what to do, how much to do. These are our recommendations. Obviously, you are the teacher who know the child. You will have your own decisions about the child. You may even recommend further support for the child. But the science or the beauty of this module will make your journey much more easier. And the progress checker, if you send with us, I'm sure if you want to share with the coordinators or the department heads or even with CEO for that case, we can help you further with that. So that's what we are saying. This is a dedicated scientifically designed module which will help in quicker progression. Rather than, making the teacher, acha, ye bacha grade 6 level ke nahi hai, main kya karu? वो क्या करूं, that we have taken care of you. If at all the child needs additional practice, आप इसी level के worksheets को या उस तरह के activities को duplicate कीजिए. That's all you need to do. You don't have to further search, what all need to be done, that we have taken care of. So this is where we come into the picture. Over to you, Vinita.
Hina Prajapati, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Hina Prajapati, please unmute yourself and ask the question. Hina Prajapati, you raised your hand. If you have a question, please unmute yourself and ask the question. Many of you are asking the question of whether the recording will be shared. Just to tell all of you, the recording will be archived and will be ready tomorrow. It will be shared only on request. So any school which feels that they need the recording, the principal needs to send us a request and we'll be sharing the recording with the principal on request.
Someone is asking, can I also get the PDF? So what I plan on doing is I plan on creating a concept note and sharing it with the schools, right? Which will have everything about ERP, which I spoke here, right?
Get it in 3 days time.
So you'll
By
get it in
Tuesday.
3
By
days
Tuesday.
time. By Tuesday maximum, you guys will receive that. So that will take care of it.
I don't see any other questions. We don't see any more questions. And Hina Prajapati, if you really still have a question, please unmute yourself and ask the question. And if there are no more questions, and if all of you already filled out the feedback form, we could close the session for today. Some of you joined in a little late, so I hope that the summary has helped you understand the program. Still, if you all have any further queries on how to implement the program once you have looked through the documents, I'm sharing 2 mail IDs or 1 mail ID for this point of time so that you can mail us on this ID with your questions and we will try and answer all your questions and queries.
Hello. Hello.
So as I said that I'll be sharing the concept note very soon. That's maximum by Tuesday. That will give you everything. Everything that you need to know about ERP will be there in that single reference document. We'll share it with the school. Someone is asking, how can I get the PDF? We'll share it with the school. It will be uploaded on the EP Future. And that's how you can access it. Anything else?
Somebody is asking for this thing, what do you call it? The mail ID, I've already shared.
Right.
Teacher training.
I think that's about it.
Hina Prajapati, would you like to ask your question? I see you've unmuted yourself. Please feel free to ask your question. Dear educators, I have shared the teacher training ID in the chat window. It is teachertraining@mountlitera.com. I'm still seeing the same request coming on the chat. It is teachertraining@mountlitera.com. So if you have any queries after you peruse the documents, please feel free to share your questions on this particular mail ID. We will be more than happy to share the resolution to your queries.
Hina Prajapati is writing that she's sorry that she's late. However, need not worry, Hina, as I mentioned that by Tuesday, we will be sharing a concept note, which will tell you everything, give you all the minute and important details about ERP, its execution and implementation in your classroom. So that will take care of it. So be rest assured.
And plus, Hina, you can request for recording of the session. The principals can share the request with us, and we will be happy to share the recording with the school. Okay, Jarnail Singh has a question. Ma'am, want to inquire whether we need to provide printable worksheets to teachers in one go or in a specific timeline.
Give in one go, and they need to know when to give it.
So basically, it would depend on your GCL for that particular class. Okay, so that's very important. Once you've identified how many children in your class are below the required or desired competence level, that will help you understand how many you need to print out. So your entire class of 30 or 35 might not require the worksheets. Depending on how they have fared in the competency level, general competency leveling test, that's how you will decide. So in your class of 35, if only 15 need, and depending on which level they are. Now, supposing like we have already told you that almost every grade has about 2 levels. Now, once you identified the level, according to that, the worksheets will get printed out, and you have to then give it out to the student basis your understanding or competence of that child at that point.
Just add something, because GCL is important here. I'm just saying. So, what Paromita and Vinita just mentioned is, how many worksheets. See, everything starts with GCL. Vinita had mentioned that GCL will give you feedback on the competency of English, Hindi, Maths, and in higher grades, other subjects also. So, only suppose a child needs more support in English, only for those children you take the additional worksheet. If a particular child is needing additional support in mathematics, only take printouts of those levels for that particular child. You should be really, really careful, how many worksheets you are printing and how you are getting it done, rather than doing it for the entire class. And small group learning is very, very essential to make these kind of modules very, very effective in the classrooms. And one-to-one interaction plus parent support. So if you have a dedicated approach towards these kind of support programs, then it's going to be effective. Never make it a whole class approach, because most of the children would not need this kind of support. Okay, so the approach is going to be very, very different. And the first 2 months is the key focus areas we are mentioning about. Tomorrow we have a session on HRP also, which is about Hindi readiness program. They also work in similar lines, but tomorrow we will discuss about it further.
Some of the school is asking that their code is not generated yet. So what do they do? The option is not there.
Future.
And we are not able to fill the form as there is no option of MLCTS Chanchal.
That's because they are not in our system as yet.
Right.
Jab tak system code generate nahi hota, they cannot.
Exactly. So the code is still not generated. Right.
For those whose school code is not yet generated, you might not be able to fill the feedback form, because only for the system, for the schools which are there in our system, the form only has those codes. So in that case, you could share your feedback here, or there is a training ID we've shared with you. You could even share your feedback on that training ID. I have shared the feedback form link once again, Hina, if you would like to. So there is no separate form for attendance. It is the feedback form that will help us mark your attendance also. We do not see any more questions and no raised hands. So I think we can close the session for today. Thank you all so much for being here, considering it's a holiday for many schools in many parts of India. Thank you so much for taking time out to attend the session. I'm sure it was very helpful, because from your questions, we could determine that what level of clarity you have got, because only when you begin to understand is when you begin to have questions. So the more the number of questions, it shows your curiosity, your understanding of the concept, and that's when you have questions. So thank you all for all your questions, and thank you, Vinita, for taking the session ahead and recapping it so many times, because people were still joining in. Sorry for that initial glitch. So now technology is not always under our control. However, thank you so many of you for joining in today's session. Really appreciate the support. I'm sure we are all learning together, and that's what we continue to do. Tomorrow is the HRP, or the Hindi Readiness Program training, at the same time from 4 to 5:30. So please inform your colleagues, your friends in the school who are teaching Hindi across all grades to be present for tomorrow's session, requesting all the alliance partners and principals to ensure that there is maximum participation, because these are immense learning sessions. And before you begin your next academic year, this will keep you very, very well braced to take on the new challenges of the new year. Okay, on that note, thank you all very much for being here today. Can we get an app training as soon as possible?